Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are now looking at the last topic in this chapter, mobile IP. We are looking at why do we need mobile IP? What are the different devices that are involved in this concept? How does communication take place when we use mobile IP? And we will also mention some of the problems that we face when using this new concept. Now, we have looked for during the addressing topics how we have an address, an IP address, okay, that helps us to identify a device on a network. Any device that belongs to a network will have an IP address. And the IP address consists of two parts. It will consist of a network part and a host part. So there will be some bytes that will be used to define the network, and there will be some bytes used to define the host. And together, this will form the IP address. So any network, any device that is on the internet, or not necessarily even the internet, any device that is connected to a network, okay, will be assigned an IP address. And this address will make it part of the network. This network ID that is there, it is because of this ID, the device will be part of this network 192.168.3. Okay, and obviously we use the subnet mask to know what is the network address. So if this is a source and the source is sending an information to this destination, the source in the IP header of the packet that it sends, as we know, there is a source IP and a destination IP, right? This is in the IP header, and we've seen that earlier. So the source will put its own ID, and then it will have the destination ID, and then it will send the packet, which will arrive at the destination. Now, one thing we have to remember about this static IP, why is this called a static IP? Because when the device moves to another network, if it gets attached to another network, this IP address will change. This IP address will change. So in this network, this device had the IP address 168.3.30. But in this address, in this network, it could have 172.132.4.71. Okay, so when it moves, it will have and connects to a new network, it will have a new IP address. Okay, it will now have the IP address of the new network. Now, the problem we have here is that the source does not know that the destination has moved. Okay, the source does not know about this. So if the destination moves and gets a new IP address, the source has no idea that this IP address has changed. So it will keep on using the old IP address for the destination. Okay, it will keep on using the old IP address for the destination. Now, a good example of this will be when you have your laptop connected to the network at university, you are given a certain IP address. But when you move and you go when you go home and you connect to your home network, you will be given a different IP address. So in this way, your address is changing. If it is a static IP address, then the address will change whenever you join a new network. And this is why when you leave the network, when you leave the college building, when you are outside the coverage of the Wi-Fi in the college building, you will experience both a loss of signal and a loss of connection as well. Okay, you will experience, because now you are out of the reach of the network first, and also your IP address is no longer valid because you have left that network. So now you will need a new IP address. Okay, so this is the problem we have with static IP addresses. Okay, with static IP addresses. And this is the problem that mobile IP hopes to resolve, because when we have a mobile device, if we have a mobile device, there is no point if we move between networks and every time we move there is a loss of connection. It will spoil the user experience. Okay, it will spoil the user experience. So we want to find a solution where no matter where the device moves, you will have the address constant. This is the aim for mobile IP. Okay, so this is the problem that we intend to resolve when we are using mobile IP. So we have so mobile IP is aiming to solve the problem of addressing. Okay. Now we are looking at two important concepts: stationary host and mobile host. What do we mean by stationary host and what do we mean by mobile host? With respect to mobile IP, okay, or mobility, stationary host will be a host that does not leave the network. Okay, so it's not a host where it does not move. No, the host can move, the device can move, but as long as it is inside the network, it will be considered stationary. Why? Because the IP address is not changing. Okay, IP address does not need changing. Okay, this is the reason why it is called a stationary host. So you may be inside a building and you have your device, so it can move anywhere in this building or in the network. It will not experience a problem because it is inside the same network, right? it is inside the same network, and the IP address is the same. So this is why it is called a stationary host. A mobile host is where the IP address changes. Okay, IP address changes. So when this mobile moves outside the building and goes away from the coverage, now it is called a mobile host because it needs to join another network, and it needs to address the problem of the change in IP address. Okay? So remember these two things. Stationary host. When is a host called stationary and when is a host called mobile? Stationary host, it will be stationary inside the network, meaning it's not leaving the network. And mobile host means it can leave the network and go into other networks. So the IP addresses are designed to work with stationary hosts because part of the address defines the network to which the host is attached. As we said, in the normal IP address, the mobile is stationary. It may be moving, but it is still inside the network, right? So it is stationary with respect to the network. So there isn't any issue with the IP address needing a change. But when it moves, we face the problem because now there is a danger of connection loss because we said that the remote host is not able, because we said the remote host does not know about this change in IP address. So now we are looking at two more concepts. Which is home address and care of address. Okay, home address and care of address. Now these are two very important concepts in mobile IP. So how can we resolve this issue of the address changing? For that purpose, we have the solution of mobile IP coming up. IP for mobile devices. In mobile IP, every device will belong to one network permanently. Okay? Every device will belong to one network permanently, and this network is called the home network. Okay? It's called the home network. The home network will give the mobile host an address. This will be called the home address. Okay? Home address. And the home address is permanent address. Okay? The home address is a permanent address. Now, when the mobile host goes to a new network, okay, when it goes to a new network, it will get a new address which is called the care of address. Okay, care of address. Now this care of address is temporary. It is assigned temporarily to the mobile host. The mobile host will still have its home address. Okay, it will still have its home address with it, but it will also be given a temporary address to belong to the new network, which is called the care of address. And this network that the mobile moves to temporarily, it is called the foreign network. Okay, it's called foreign network. So as you can see here, the mobile host has been assigned a temporary address called the care of address, but it also has the home address which will be the same. Similarly, if the mobile moves to another network from here, okay, if it moves to another network in here, it will be assigned a new care of address, but the home address will still be 131.5.24.8. Okay, the home address will still be the same. So this is an important concept you have to understand. Home address, permanent address, which is assigned to the mobile by the home network. Foreign address, okay, or the care of address is a temporary address assigned to the mobile when it is in the foreign network. So mobile IP has two addresses for a mobile host, one home address and one care of address. Home address is permanent and the care of address changes as the mobile host moves from one network to another. Okay? So this is an important concept you should remember. In the next video, we will be looking at the agents and how they are needed and what their role is. They play an important role. So we will look at their role in the next video.